on, guys? Welcome back to Everyday Struggle with Nadeska, Akademiks, and Wayno. Guys, it's been like a little hard to keep the energy up some of these days. I feel very sleepy this morning, and sometimes only music helps. What have you guys actually been listening to the past couple of weeks?
I've been listening like older music. I haven't been like listening to too much new stuff. I mean, I keep tapping in with Lil Baby's album. It's one of my favorite albums, My Turn. But other than that, I've been listening to a lot of like older stuff. I've been going to like 70s playlist, stuff like that.
Same pack.
Of course I'm listening to Aubrey. You got a song for every moment in life. Of course I'm throwing on some ratchet shits. Like I'm throwing on the NBA YoungBoy and at least Chopper. Jada Youngin.
Okay, so nothing has changed in your music selections.
I was gonna get to like the good stuff.
Okay.
But of course, in moments like this, as I go back and I listen to TV, I'm listening to Kendrick, and I'm actually listening to that Run the Jewels album. I'm not gonna lie to you.
It's definitely a great album, and it's doing really well.
Gotta balance. I gotta put some substance around it. You know what I mean? It's like the meat and potato. What's the problem?
I don't believe you, but yeah, sure. If you say so.
Oh my God.
Well, we know a lot of people have been going back and revisiting "To Pimp a Butterfly" from Kendrick Lamar, and Snoop Dogg was recently on an episode of Lil Wayne's Young Money Radio on Apple Music, and they had a discussion about Pac. He said he thinks Pac's music is more relevant than ever, adding that his mind was militant and way ahead of his time. I've even seen major news stations running back interviews of Pac talking about his struggles with police back in the day, and those things still resonate. What do you guys think?
I mean, Pac, I think about Pac, I think about like Public Enemy, NWA, even the Pimp a Butterfly. It just goes to show you that the things that are going on now have always been going on. Even if you look at a movie like Do the Right Thing, where the climax of the movie is a cop killing a dude from the neighborhood with a chokehold. Like, it's Spike Lee, and this is art, unfortunately, like, art imitates life a lot of times, and Spike Lee made that movie before a lot of our viewers was even born, and this is the same thing that kind of changed everything. So, I mean, with Pac's music, I just think that he was very aware. We got to keep in mind that he was raised in a household with Black Panthers, He wasn't born Tupac Shakur. He was given that name, So yeah, his music does speak to the times, but it just goes to show you how our what we've been going through has been prevalent, for so many years.
Yeah, a lot of sort of young and upcoming artists seem to love comparing themselves to Pac, but in terms of activism, they certainly don't even hold a candle to him.
I think when you look at Pac, I think the reason why, people are, a lot of his old interviews are resurfacing, and even, his music has always been prevalent, but I think people have seen how prophetic he was, pretty much, there was a time where he was considered, he a little bit too radical, but he was always preaching that to keep it real, might got to get a little radical to get some change going around here, you get me? And a lot of people looked at that as that was kind of unnecessary, and when we're seeing what's going on now, and we're seeing how things finally, the wheel might be moving a little bit, and it's not happening just because people are just only either peacefully protesting or whatever. It takes some odd shit to happen for people to realize we're tired of the bullshit. It takes you calling people out, getting people out of here, getting fired. Companies realizing that they're about to lose their whole, the majority of their equity or funding. People start acting a little bit different when their livelihood is threatened, as opposed to oh no, just out of the goodness of their heart, be out of their humanity, be oh, of course you're right. Yeah, we should definitely treat you right. You get me? So I think Pac's words become even stronger because, he was always talking about these steps and talking about we're going to get to this point. You get me? So, of course, his words, it gets super amplified. So, salute to Pac.
Yeah.
A few
that's why he's the greatest.
Yeah,
Sorry, Wayno?
No, I was just saying, I even now more than ever, I can't stand the Pac comparisons when dudes say, I'm Tupac, or I feel like Pac and this, that, and the third. Only because it's Tupac, he was a lot of different things. A lot of people say that they call him out for being a contradiction, but I think all humans have contradictions within us, and he wasn't afraid to show himself. He wasn't afraid to show his vulnerability, whether he was happy, sad, or excited. So when you see Pac putting himself, being a big artist that he was, and still speaking about injustices or still speaking about like the things that go on. It wasn't just to promote a record. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there would never, ever, ever be anything close to Pac. And then even when it gets down to the music, I think the passion that he put into his music is unmatched. So like, I hope that going forward, you know, we say this a lot, especially my man Akademiks, because that's his favorite rapper. You know what I mean? Keep that Pac stuff. I'm the next Tupac. I feel like Pac, keep it away from yourself. You know.
And to keep it very true, man, you look at all the people who have compared him to Tupac, and compare themselves to Tupac, and it's always been laughable to me in the moment. But you could, like, shit, I thought Tory Lanez only compared himself to Tupac because he had a bald head. Now, you know, he got dreads. I don't know how that happened. That nigga got a chia pet going on. Listen, God bless his hair surgeon. But not only that, I think Troy Ave called himself Nupac just because he got shot and came back. I think that's the only like comparison that he was having. But I think the majority of rappers, when they compare themselves to Tupac, is kind of the me versus the world mentality. Which, of course, you know, like Pac kind of took on a lot of issues this and third, but that pales in comparison to why Pac is revered. You get me, and why actually his music and his message has lasted decades. So, hopefully they realize.
With him, it definitely wasn't all about me. It was a lot about us, which was very, very important. A few months ago, which now, feels like many, many moons ago, we were having a lot of conversations about how the climate of rap might shift in 2020, especially with Meek Mill saying, whack music will perish in 2020. But that was pre-COVID, pre-uprising, pre-revolution, right? I don't think any of us could have predicted that any of this could happen. So I think that's definitely played into how we're receiving music at this point. So we've gotten a few songs in the past few days that really speak to this moment that we're living in. And let's start with Meek. He dropped a record called Otherside of America. So he's speaking from the perspective of what it was like growing up in tough neighborhoods and dealing with police and fighting with open cases, and even ends with a clip of him talking about how he's always dreamed of being able to speak for the voiceless young men of America. What do you guys think about this record?
I like this record. I think this is a record which, like, I think as we talked about it yesterday, like, are certain people kind of like either trying to capitalize off the moment, or are they using these moments to actually tell, very personal stories or giving their personal experience, whether it's with the cops or just, being a black man. And to be honest, I think Meek has always like shared that struggle and shared the struggle of how people that look like him coming from where he does, their experiences either not only with the cops but just with the legal system. So, when he said that record, and even the sample, they had that sample that was kind of played like before the record. Like, yeah, he's been saying that. So, I like this record because I think it's well timed. I think it's interesting that Nipsey was supposed to be on it as well. But, I think it was a good time for him to drop it.
Yeah, I like this record a lot. It's just a little bit bittersweet, like seeing that Nipsey was supposed to be on it because, knowing the energy. I said that like recently that I wish I could have heard Nipsey speak about the things that's going on, around this time. And not just in music, just to hear him speak. He's one of the artists that throughout his whole career, you never have like an interview where he says something that you like kind of question him for. So knowing that he was supposed to be on it was kind of tough. But other than that, like, this record is hard. This is the type of shit I expect from Meek, because why everybody makes their little Meek Mandela jokes and all that. Meek is one of the people who more recently he has switched his gears up, but he's keeping the same energy since he has. He was, a lot of people was critical of him for the whole, when his probation kept getting knocked back until we found out the story as to why, he kept going to jail for little minor infractions. So I'm happy that because, he's going through that in the public eye, he's still pushing that through his music, especially through these times.
I do wish we could take some of the negativity or the shade out of Meek Mandela, because I still think it's such a great nickname for him, but it seems like I'm alone out here.
He don't like it, though. I don't think he likes it.
I ain't gonna lie, Meek Luther King Jr. rings a lot harder.
Okay, all right. So we have another record. This one is from Tee Grizzley featuring Queen Naija and members of the Detroit Youth Choir. It's called Mr. Officer. So they're, addressing officers directly in this song. And Tee Grizzley said, look, I'm not an activist, I'm not a politician, but it's on everyone right now to speak up. This is a much different record sonically from the Meek record, but also I think very strong.
That's why I like this record, because the thing about Tee Grizzley is that, especially with Detroit rappers, they kind of get boxed in a lot. They get boxed in a lot to the sound that's going on that they're popping with. But even with Tee Grizzley, like to see him kind of use, this moment and be honest about it and say, this is not what I usually do, but feeling the need to speak up, it just goes back to that quote of Meek saying like whack music won't be prevalent, or whack music is going to end. Because you see guys having to showcase their ability. I don't think you can make a record like this if you don't have the ability to. So salute to Tee Grizzley.
Yeah, I expect records like this from a lot of people who talk about the streets. I think if your music's gonna be well rounded, I think if you're gonna be honest as well in your music, other than just glorifying whatever, you're gonna talk about people that look like you. Basically coming in contact with the police and that experience, for better or for worse. And again, with people like Tee Grizzley, like, I'm glad he said he's not no activist, because he's not. And by the way, it's just the raw, it's something about just hearing the raw, unfiltered, expression of what that experience is like. And, sometimes you might be like, it's a little bit too vulgar, but to be honest, I feel like it's just real. Mm-hmm. So I like the record.
Yeah, it's amazing, I think, the variety that we're getting in these songs. So the next one I want to highlight is from Conway. This one is called Front Lines, where, again, he's speaking on issues affecting Black people and also just some, current fuckery that's taking place in the industry. Recently, Wayno, I know you're a huge Conway fan. You first.
Well, Conway, I mean, yeah, like these guys like him, Westside, Benny, they don't slip when it comes to music. I mean, I don't expect nothing but top-notch lyricism and talking that shit when it comes to Conway. So, I really dug this record. And it took me back because we were in the beginning of the show talking about what we were listening to at the time. And because you said Conway, it made me remember that he has a hell of a verse on Freddie Gibbs' album. And that's what I have been bumping, Freddie Gibbs' Alfredo. So I want to just go back and let people know that shit is hard. You know what I mean? Academics get into him, even though I know you ain't the biggest Freddie Gibbs fan. But, Conway, look at him looking up. But Conway killed this one. Conway did kill this one.
Yo, salute to Conway, man. Hey, listen, I will not be up here fronting and capping like I'm the biggest Conway fan. I've been getting more into his music, but it's songs like this will draw me in. Shit that, especially for the time we're in. And I think we do need music. People were asking you with Kendrick and Kodak, man. There's mad other people who could rap in their own way about what we're dealing with, what's going on outside, and I thought it was dope how he addressed it. So I like this record, and to be honest, again, I'm becoming a Conway fan a bit. It's gonna take me a little while, you know what I mean? But I don't know. I gotta find out where in the house I can play Conway, because I got Drake for the shower, pause. I got Uzi for the cleaning, and I gotta figure out. I don't know if this is laundry music or some, while I'm cooking. But I'm gonna figure it out.
When you cooking up, listen to some Conway. You know what I mean? He got some.
That's Ross. When I'm cooking up, I gotta.
He got some Pyrex bars in there. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, word? Absolutely. Nah, we might be cooking up the wrong thing. Hold on, man. He might be cooking me up with an indictment.
You stupid, man.
So there are a couple more releases. We've gotten a record from Jim Jones, also called The People. One from Plies called Eagle, and of course the Run the Jewels album, Run the Jewels 4, that dropped recently. Their first top 10 album ever. I'm wondering, obviously this is a moment, right? How things are is not how it's going to be forever. But do you think this is going to have any sort of lasting effect on hip hop? Going into 2021, and the way, we always like to separate the conscious rappers from rappers who make records for the club or for the shower or whatever it is Akademiks does at home when he's cleaning. But do you think more artists feel that they might now be able to sort of talk about these issues in their music, even if they're not dedicating entire songs or albums to these issues?
I think that there's definitely going to be a shift, but at the same time, I think that a lot of artists that we might not look to make. When we say conscious, it's such a open field when it comes to that word, because it's if I get Lil Baby talking about the awareness of police. Now I don't look for him to make an entire record about that, but if he's talking about certain things within his bars, I'm looking at that as a certain level of consciousness as well. So I think that it's definitely going to make a shift, but there's also going to be the other guys that exist that make the records that are geared towards the teenagers and the teenagers that aren't into everything that's going on now. And like it's records that are made specifically for the club that like I'm still gonna want to hear that. Like I'm not gonna not want to hear records about ignorant shit. Like I love that too.
Of course, not that we don't want to listen to it. And when I say the word conscious, it sounds outdated even saying it. But just your previous point that there are certain artists that we always expect to do this, and everyone else can do something else. I'm just wondering if it opens the field now. Everyone feels like they can contribute a bit more and still be true to sort of whatever their core audience is.
Yeah, I think that I think you're right with that. I think that can happen. All right, go ahead, my friend.
Oh no. I think there'll be a record or two by like many rappers, but I don't think anyone would necessarily like kind of like switch gears, So like, I think the people who usually and are a little bit more well versed with it, especially rappers who are more lyrically talented, they're gonna be. I think there's gonna be more of a focus on them kind of continue the message because by the way, as we move past this time, music is important more than ever to continue and to fuel the movement, okay? Because these are the songs that will last for months, and what happens is niggas be on trending topic time. In 2 weeks, we all for that. You get me? Like niggas move around like the popularity of TikTok songs, okay? But what actually keeps, some of the momentum and the energy the same way as, some of the soundtracks and the music that really fuels it. So I mean, maybe we see other rappers like take on that task, but it'll probably help their career because we start seeing other than the J. Coles and the Kendricks or whatever, we see other people who are talented where maybe they wouldn't have the club banger of the month, but they could have a song with a very deep message and shit, just even the visualization shit. I mean, honestly, one of the times when we started talking about Jordan Lucas a lot, remember he did that very powerful video where he was
I'm not racist.
The video with the I'm not racist, and it kind of brought a little bit more focus on him. Is he gonna have the hottest song along with the Migos and Future, in every club every week? Maybe not, but I think it gave for what he is capable of doing a lot of like more attention. So I think there'll be some new people who are in this lane that's gonna pop off.
All right. I'd love to see it. In the meantime, Ak, I know you wanted to talk about a little bit of beef. I don't know. We'll see. But just a quick update on Kodak. So it sounds like Kodak Black could be released at Halfway House as early as 2021. His attorney told XXL that all the gun charges he was facing in Florida have been dropped, and that could have landed him in prison for 15 years. And now there's also a campaign to move Kodak. So according to the First Step Act, which I wasn't familiar with, prisoners should be within 500 miles of their home. But right now, Kodak's is in a max security prison 1,100 miles from his family. So they're trying to get him moved immediately. Not sure if that will happen, but, some good news for Kodak either way.
I'm wondering this experience in prison. About his first time in federal prison for Kodak Black. He's been locked up in state prison a bunch of times. I'm wondering how this is going to change him. As I see him and his lawyer put out a lot of messages through social media saying, hey, he's been mistreated. The justice system is like ignoring some of his rights. His lawyers try to, be very transparent with those things. As you said, certain distances from your family. They're denying him of certain, even just human decency shit. I'm wondering if that, when he comes out, because I think based on what Meek went through, like Meek realized he had to carry the flag for other people in that situation. And, I think he's done a great job. I'm wondering if Kodak's going to do that or Kodak's going to be the regular old Kodak that we see when he gets released. Regardless, I'm always a little bit worried about every single week or every single couple days. We kind of see a story about Kodak being mistreated, and I don't know, it just seems off to me because, again, we know the saying, you do the crime, you do the time, but it feels like him doing the time, he's having a really tough time in there, and I don't know if they're targeting him.
Yeah, I hope that if he does get the opportunity to come home, that he can stay home. Kodak just seemed to have a really troubled past, and he's a great artist. And the crazy thing about Kodak is every time he gets locked up, that's when you start seeing the positive side of him more often than the bullshit. So hopefully when he comes home, he could kind of switch. He's one of the guys that hopefully he could switch gears and stay out here.
Yeah, he's definitely had his issues, but I think as people continue to protest and politicians work on helping us reform, laws and how police departments work, I think the next big fight is the prison system, right? We know how messed up that is and how it targets minority people. So let's see. We still have a lot of fighting to do.
Shit, I saw a great point being made recently, which I mean I think this point has been made a bunch of times, so I don't really want to just give him credit. But Elon Musk made the point, was like, yo, listen, man, y'all done legalized weed everywhere, but y'all got mad people in jail right now still serving, sentences for being convicted of weed. You know what I mean? Either selling or, just being caught in possession. So it's like, why don't we get those people out if y'all gonna legalize this shit anyway? So, I do think there's definitely a lot of stuff inherently wrong with the prison system and justice system in general.
Well, that's why we was having a conversation about defunding the police, because it starts there. When you locking up all of these people for all these minor infractions and then putting them in prison, people, the prison system makes money by people being in those beds. So like if that's why in Ireland, I think if you're arrested or you caught using drugs and shit, they treat it like a sickness. They put you in rehab. You know what I mean? You're not penalized for being down on your luck and getting high. You know what I'm saying? Like in America, you getting high, they putting your ass in jail just for getting high. So it's like it's tons of people that's locked up just for that. And hopefully we can see some change when it comes to the whole system reform and everything. Even we seen a guy from the CEO of Twitter, he donated $10 million to his prison reform. So,
got a lot of work to do.
A whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, I know our conversation, the debate got a little bit heated when we were talking about the defund the police because it sounds so radical, but it sounds like cops themselves have been complaining for a long time that, they shouldn't be first on the scene whenever something is going on, especially if someone is dealing with some mental issues, there are domestic issues, like they don't always want to be the ones on the front line. We don't need force to get there. But let's see. Reforms are slowly happening, so hopefully we have some better news to report in a few weeks.
Yeah, well, I think part of the confusion with even that, though, was that I was under the impression that this was a response to what happened with George Floyd, and I just didn't see it helping the issue. Like, of course, it will help other issues doing that. But I just look at that as racism, and I just didn't understand the funding police. While it might create other opportunities, those interactions are gonna happen, and how do you prevent that from happening? If it feels like it was more of an attempt to like we're seeing the police like in times like this, they look mad militarized, they're looking crazy out here. I mean, they look like they're ready to go to war. Definitely understandable. Y'all need some of this like gear. Like we could probably be better served moving around money that way. I'm just trying to figure out how do we make sure our black brothers and sisters aren't being murdered on the pavement and basically people looking around like, what? You know what I mean? That's I think, my first objective, but I get what you guys say.
Gotcha.
All right, guys. Damn, I want to end on a positive note. I don't know if I have anything right now.
We got some positive notes.
We got some positive notes.
Hey, this thing with Wayno was really capping, man. This thing
about
was,
what?
He ain't want to admit at the beginning of the show that he's been listening to that new Akon and 6ix9ine record. You know what I mean?
I said a positive note, not more fuckery. All right, wait, now I got it. Ignore academics, everyone. Here's the positive note.
We're not gonna ignore. We're not going to ignore academics. Best friend running around with fucking lace front wigs. You know what I'm saying? And redoing and making a mockery of a classic record. So, whatever.
Wayno's ready for the super mix, man.
I'm cool on all of that.
Akon, Styles P.
Styles P would never don't play with Styles P like that.
No, he wouldn't do it. But yeah, y'all gotta just super just kind of like DJ mix it together. That's just gonna be crazy.
All right, I'm sorry I walked us into this. Wayno, my apologies, guys. We're gonna go before this
never
gets
fails,
worse.
yo.
Thank you for watching Everyday Struggle.
Fuck you, academics.